So folks in the off-roading 4x4 segment are very simple folks. I mean, they're definitely looking for a capable, good-looking, and confidence-inspiring vehicle that they can take out of town off the beaten path during the weekends. Well, guess what? This time, we've got a tank. What's going on, guys? Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph, and finally we'll be reviewing this car that's been making waves in the off-roading scene. This is the GWM Tank 300. Starting with the exterior looks of the GWM Tank 300, I mentioned that it has to look the part of an off-roader. And yes, as you can see, it definitely looks like it. I mean, you've got 3 horizontal slats right here for the grille, this huge tank logo right here in the middle, which actually mimics the key fob that we have right there. So this is the mothership of that key fob. It's the 3 slanted grille is flanked by these circular headlamps, again, off-roading appeal, plus it's bisected by these DRLs right there in the middle. It gives a more modern approach to the retro aesthetic that the GWM Tank 300 is trying to achieve, and I think it definitely achieves that quite nicely. You've got this huge power bulge right here on top of the hood. You got a camera right there on top of the windshield that helps out with the advanced driver assist systems, which we'll be talking about later on. Overall, the front end of the GWM Tank 300, it kind of reminds me a lot of a lot like a brick on wheels. But again, that's what off-roading and 4x4 enthusiasts are looking for. They're not really into aerodynamics and all. They will just want to look badass and do badass things and look badass while doing it. Now again, more of that off-roading aesthetics are right here on the side profile of the Tank 300. Now, you got these huge over fenders right here on the front and the back, protecting this nice orange paint. You got this really nice and chunky step board right here that helps you out with getting in and out of this GWM Tank. It does have 224 millimeters of ground clearance, which doesn't sound like a lot, especially when comparing this to a lot of off-roading vehicles, but it's basically a lot more than a lot of SUVs in the market. You got these tiny 17-inch alloy wheels right here. They're blacked out and multi-spoke there. You definitely don't need those larger rims because you need these tires with a huge sidewall. It's got 265, 65 R17 ATT tires, which are all-terrain tires. These are Cooper Discoverer ATT tires, which definitely looks the part of something that can go off-roading and get you back home in one piece. And it gives us a nice view of the suspension right here underneath. It's got double wishbone suspension right there up front and a multi-link suspension right there in the rear. Now, one thing about the GWM Tank that differentiates itself from the other competition in this segment, this thing right here has a ladder on frame structure. While a lot of cars, or off-roading cars these days, seem to be moving over to unibody designs, this one still sticking to the traditional ladder on frame, which is nice. You got these boxy windows right here on the side. You got these plastic door handles and side mirrors right here with repeater signals and a 360-degree camera system. So right here in the back of the Tank 300 gives even more of that off-roader recipe. You've got the spare tire mounted right here in the back. You got this, you got a shark's fin antenna on top as well, and vertically oriented rear LED tail lamps, which is a nice touch. You got the GWM Tank badge here, as well as the 300 badge. You got these bumpers here on the side. They're very nice and rugged. You won't be able to see the exhaust port right here because this actually isn't a sports car. You don't need to flaunt or flex your exhaust port. You got at least a rear wiper that's mounted right here on top, and this large door. So it opens up to the side and not usually up top right here, which means you can't really park this in a mall going backwards because you won't be able to put anything in the front unless, of course, you park forwards. Now, once you do get past that, you do have these this huge space right here in the back to put all your stuff in. You got 400 liters worth of space for the rear, and if you need even more space, you can fold those rear seats down. They fold really flat in a 2-step feature. So first of all, you need to fold the benches forward and then fold these backrests forward as well. Now, underneath the floorboard, This nice plastic floorboard, by the way, which is nice and rugged. You find all your tools that you need whenever you go off-roading or when going to the urban jungle. One concern about the back, though, is that it seems to be pretty narrow right here. So if you need to put in wider items, it might cause a concern. And the loading floor is way high up. So if you need to lift and put all your stuff right there in the back, you need to do a little bit more curls in the gym. All right, let's just shut this down right here. Overall, the exterior of the GWM Tank 300 definitely exudes off-roader, definitely shows a lot of that 4x4 potential. And yes, you can definitely take this off the beaten path every so often, every weekend, and maybe even use it as a daily driver. How do I know? Let's take a look at the inside. All right, so we're inside the GWM Tank 300, and straight off the bat, it's surprising how much of a contrast the interior is compared to the outside. While the outside exhibits more of that off-road appeal, inside just wants to pamper you in the lap of luxury because the front, I mean the dashboard right here gives you a lot of Germanic vibes because of these chrome aircon vents here. You got soft touch materials everywhere, but at the same time also inspired, it gets itself inspired from a lot of its more off-roading competition with these grab handles here as well in the front, and even a small analog clock right there in the middle. Everything is nicely laid out. At least I'll give it that. You got everything that you need right in the right within reach. The AC controls have a nice clicky buttons right here to control them. And you got two USB ports here, one USB-A and one USB-C. The USB-C primarily used for charging and the A to connect Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's no wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto right here, but it does work and blasts out tunes through 9 infinity speakers inside. If you notice the back, that's where the subwoofer is. So it's nice. Definitely has a above average sound quality. And I'm not the best audiophile out there, the best. I'm not really an audiophile myself, but it does sound good to me, so I think it's going to sound good to you. All right. So contrast stitching again right here on the dashboard. Same here on the seats. You got leather seats. These seats, by the way, are ventilated, which is nice, which is definitely something that you would need when you're traversing, summer days. But isn't something that you might not need whenever you go off-roading. Probably glamping, perhaps. And one, this is definitely one nice tool for you to use whenever you go um, glamping yourself. You got two 12.3-inch screens right here in the front. They blend together to form one seamless screen, but there is a partition between them. So at least, but when you look at it in this way, it does seem like one seamless screen. And GWM is smart by actually putting splitting that screen because the steering wheel actually hinders the line of sight between that. So they can get away with using two of these screens right here, and it's nice and very responsive. Has a good refresh rate. That looks like 60 hertz to me. Yeah, you got a 60 hertz refresh rate. No, it's actually larger. Yeah, that looks 190 and 120 right there, almost tablet-like, which is nice in my opinion. So in the screen, you can find everything that you need right here. You can find your vehicle settings, your intelligent driving settings, parking, comfort, and even your interior lighting settings. You got ambient lighting inside, which is nice. And you can even have Find My Car. Find My Car is where when you lock the car and the lights are turned on for a specific period of time. So you got it right there. The digital information cluster here isn't a touch screen, but it has a nice resolution to it. There you go. It's actually quite nice. I mean, even if you compare this to a more high-end brands, this one right here is of high quality. Like I said, they must have had implemented some sort of tablet technology right here because it's a nice quality screen right there. All right, so you can control all your settings here. So go here to vehicle settings, your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and all that, and everything is within reach. Easy. Now the steering wheel you have a nice, interesting design right here. Again, it looks very inspired again by a lot of its more expensive competition, especially with these control pods that are boxy control pods on each side right there. But in my opinion, these ones right here actually look quite nice and very better, well laid out, especially when you compare it to others. You also have paddle shifters right here to control your 8-speed automatic transmission. You also have a third stock right here for your cruise control, located on the left. This has automatic high beams as part of the advanced driver assist systems, which is really right quite nicely. Everything is soft touch, which is nice because you definitely need to have at least something that's going to differentiate itself, yourself from the competition. And I think with these power seats, with these nice sunroof on top, everything is well laid out and well appointed. That's the term I'm looking for. Well appointed. I want to point your direction right here on the center console. Look at this nice looking grip of a shifter right there. I mean, it definitely looks like something off of a fighter jet in my opinion. Plus full buttons all around. You won't find any blank buttons right there. You got your front and rear differential locking systems, even the tank mode right there. So in order to reach tank mode, you need to activate crawl control. We're not going to do that right here in the city because you do that off-roading, of course. You got your camera right there, your parking sensors, and your crawl right there. So you got particular settings right here. You got mud and sand mode. You got rock mode. Makes it a lot louder because it's rock. You got mountain mode, pothole mode, and you're back in normal mode. So all these particular drive modes are available for you whenever you use the Tank 300 for off-roading. So let's try a couple of modes right here. All right, so we're checking out tank mode right now. So what it does is that it decreases the turning radius to about less than 2 meters, about 1.6 meters, according to what you've seen. But don't expect tank mode to be something that you'd use on a daily because it's mostly used for rock crawling. That's the reason why they use tank mode in conjunction with crawl mode. So there you go. You won't be able to use tank mode in any other setting other than crawl mode. So there you go. You need this particular setting when you go off-roading, especially when going through tight rocks and sand. So what it does is that it locks the interior wheel. All right, it locks the interior wheel in order to achieve the particular mode that you want to get at. So let's quit that right now. So we're causing a ruckus wherever we're shooting at. So as you've noticed, we've been fiddling with a lot of system settings right here, which means that GWM knows the particular market that they want to present the Tank 300 to. It's more really off-roading oriented. Now it might be packaged in this really luxurious case right here, but deep inside it's a real off-roading machine, hence the different settings right there. So a few things about the front interior here that I wish they would have changed. I wish this was in black because you do want to send us off-roading. It would be easier to clean, check out if it's black, and I wish it had wireless charging. But then again, it didn't have an Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as a wireless option, so wireless charging would have been something else. All right, one more thing. The glove box does have a refrigerated option. You got an ashtray next to the aircon vent. All right, so that's enough about the front here. Let's take a look at the back seat and see what's available to us. All right, so right here at the back of the GWM Tank, this you do have a lot of space to work with, but I wish you could recline this, and you can, but just by quite as much like this. But for a ladder on frame SUV, surprisingly, you do have a lot of space for your legs, and you don't have that center tunnel right here in the back. That's good. They seem to have raised the floor a bit in order to avoid some of the suspension parts underneath. So this is nice. It actually negates the pitfalls of having a ladder on frame vehicle when it comes to SUV. So you got a lot of space. You got this nice grab handles on the side so you can get in easily. You got ambient lighting on the back as well. You got cup holders right here in the middle of the armrest. You got two USB-A ports right here. and two aircon vents, as well as two map pockets. Okay. Now, one note that I have right here in the back is that you seem to have this divot on the you have this divot right here on top of the ceiling right here in the back. Now, for someone as myself, I am 5'10" and a half with a longer torso, so sitting right here in the back, that will definitely impede my headroom just by a touch. The reason why you actually have this is because of the sunroof right here. So they had to create the sunroof inside of the vehicle in order to maintain the rigidity of the entire shell of the exterior. So while some other sunroofs, they actually cut open the entire roof here. This looks like it was installed right here underneath of the roof to make sure that, you know, even if you put stuff on top of the Tank 300, it's not going to decrease the loading capacity right there on top. So that's one explanation that I would have right here, because it has this divot. So while it will help out with the rigidity and the strength, it will definitely ruin your hair for that day. All right, so that's all I can say about the interior. Let's take this for a spin, quite literally, and see how this works out. All right, so we're inside a GWM Tank 300. As I've mentioned, you've got a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder under the hood, makes 217 horses and 380 newton meters of torque. And primarily, right now, it's in 2H, so it powers the rear wheel. So it has a part-time 4-wheel drive system. Power delivery is surprisingly very good, especially for a heavy SUV such as this one. And yeah, it's surprisingly agile and quite light to chuck around, especially around town. Now, usually you'd be bringing this off-road, you know, off the beaten path, and it will definitely show you all its capabilities. And that's why we're reviewing it right here in the city, in the urban jungle, because I want to see how it moves inside, in in paved tarmac, and it moves really well. Now, even though you've got all-terrain tires installed in those 17 inchers, it's really soft inside. It feels quite nicely. Suspension has been set up more for comfort, but that particular soft type of suspension is really good, actually, for off-roading as well. So it really, it transfers really well into the city. So I like how it works out. And the steering, even though you don't have the particular tank mode on, is it's very direct and very responsive, and has a nice turning radius considering that you've got a long, wide vehicle that you're riding. It's nice. Now, while the steering is definitely one thing to marvel at, the brakes might need a little bit of work. It feels a little spongy, and it doesn't feel that strong, especially when you hit on it. But it does feel a little progressive. So just stepping on the brakes real nice like this way. Yeah, there we go. It is easier to modulate in city driving, but it might take a little bit of getting used to. But once you reach that particular learning curve, it's easy. It's fine. It's just not the best brakes. So speaking of the steering dynamics of the Tank 300, there are 3 different steering patterns. You got light, comfort, and sport. So sport would definitely stiffen up that steering a little bit for those who want a little bit more road feel to their drive. But for me, with these types of vehicles, going at it with comfort, definitely good, especially inside the city. Now, powering the rear wheels and 4 wheels right here is a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. So none of that dual clutch transmission jerkiness and CVT drone. So they've got a traditional slush box right here, which in my opinion really works well, especially for this type of vehicle. So if you want to go off-roading, you want your shifts to be not exactly something to be fast or quick like in a double clutch or smooth like a CVT. You want your shifts to be direct. You want your shifts to be smart enough to know which speed or which particular gear you need to go to. And the 8-speed works perfectly fine in the city. So that's one thing I noticed right here. You've got a double wishbone suspension setup up front and a multi-link non-independent suspension in the rear. As I've also mentioned during my earlier talk walk around here, you have a ladder on frame setup in this Tank 300 instead of others going towards the unibody route, which is really not that quite something that a lot of off-roaders are looking for. This one has a ladder on frame, so but it doesn't feel like it. In fact, the floors are fairly flat, even right there in the back. This feels like a crossover, even when you're chucking it around the city. What kind of sorcery GWM was able to reach with this is beyond me. NVH levels of the Tank 300 is absolutely superb, which is not surprising, especially for a SUV at this price point. I mean, you can barely hear the outside world. The noise, the sound from the outside world barely permeates through the cabin, which is nice because comparing this to its other off-roading brethren, which with those removable roofs, removable doors, which really doesn't do quite well with NVH. And being a gasoline-powered car, you won't have the diesel clatter as well. So while some people might be still be looking for a diesel for that diesel torque, diesel pull, it does quite well when it comes to vibration, and it's not that harsh, especially when going through those humps. When going through those speed bumps, it doesn't even feel it doesn't even feel like you're rattling the interior. I was going at it at, at a reasonable speed, 40 kilometers per hour, and I didn't feel a thing. Fuel economy of the Tank 300. During our testing driving in the city, we got around 5, 6 at best kilometers per liter in the city, and out on the highway, 12 kilometers per liter. This is a real off-roading truck, and if there were any indication of what this particular car is made for, fuel economy might be the best indicator. So, if you're thinking about doing using this as a daily, well, lucky you. You must own a gas station yourself. But thanks to the 7.5 liter fuel tank, you do have a lot of kilometers to use despite that lower fuel fuel mileage. The Tank 300 isn't lacking with safety features as well. So apart from your standard airbags, ABS, electronic brake force distribution, being a truck that's priced right up there than normal SUV or crossover, it's complete with advanced driver assist system. So you got parking sensors all around. You got 360-degree camera. You got lane keep assist, lane departure warning. So it's also got intelligent cruise assist. So intelligent cruise assist works with the adaptive cruise control. So apart from determining the speed or trying to adapt your speed according to the car in front of you, it also checks the lane where there are a couple of curves around. It actually moves quite well and isn't that intrusive. So it actually feels like you're actually shifting yourself. You also have some additional safety features which are useful for off-roading. You've got hill descent control, as well as the aforementioned drive modes, which you can actually choose what type of driving you need depending on the situation. So overall, very safe truck. You got all these things that you really need, especially when you're driving, which gives you more safety when driving in the real world. Speaking of off-roading, this is one of the few available SUVs in the market that actually has a diff lock. Not just one diff lock, not just a rear diff lock, a front and rear diff lock. So for you off-roading fans out there, you might want to consider this one, and even consider this as a budget option, probably, especially when you compare it to other crossovers. I mean, to other SUVs that are more off-roading inspired or off-roading oriented. It also has crawl mode, which gives you the ability to just slodge through a particular terrain, going rock crawling. So it determines the right amount of speed, the right amount of torque that you need for particular situations, especially when you're rock crawling. And yeah, that's very useful, especially when it comes to off-roading in general. Now, pricing for the GWM Tank 300 starts at 2,678,000 pesos, which at face value, actually, you would think that that's pretty high. That's pretty steep, especially for a crossover SUV. Well, guess what? This isn't a crossover SUV. This right here is a real ladder on frame SUV with real off-roading chops and potential. So there you have it, ladies and gentle folks, the GWM Tank 300, I finally get the appeal of this particular model from GWM and why a lot of people have been talking about it and waiting for its release. I mean, it definitely strikes a good balance between weekend off-roader and at the same time, a very comfortable runabout vehicle. But I don't want you to know what you think. Drop me a comment in the comment section down below. While you're at it, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification icon so you won't miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching. This has been Roy Robles from Zigwheels.Ph. I will see you guys next time.